Welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome to a next live broadcast. Today, I had to do this, and we are continuing our journey and series at the same time, titled Cosmic Narcissism. And I highly recommend you to go to the first part of this series, and also to listen to that, because I am reading from Wes Penry's book, The Orion Book. And it is an interesting book. It is in actuality a compilation of all his work so far he has done. In this book, it is very well stated what cosmic narcissism is. And we are very trapped into cosmic narcissism. This cosmic narcissism has been created and founded by a fallen archangel known as Uriel / Lucifer / Enki. And it is about time that we get to see through everything that is going on, and that we get to the truth, why we see such a rise of narcissism in this world. And more and more people are observing that they see rapidly changing many fellow brothers and sisters in becoming more narcissistic. So where does this come from? Well, in the coming series, I am going to read from this Orion book, and I will share what Wes Penry writes about what cosmic narcissism is. In part 2, I'm going through a very important piece of information, and that is titled A Lifelong Search for Mother Detachment. There are thankfully many people in this world, many brothers and sisters in this world, that are very in the knowing about the true history of this planet Earth, that in actuality is a part of Tiamat. Tiamat was our home planet and has been blown into uncountable millions of pieces during a cosmic war. Um, the human soul group that was living on Tiamat was in actuality in a very young stage. We were becoming part of a gigantic cosmic war, and we were in actuality overwhelmed by it. Um, Many of the original human soul group have been uh, imprisoned by a fallen archangel. We know this archangel as Lucifer, but it seems that its original name is Uriel. And this archangel has created from a piece of Tiamat this earth that we call earth. But this fallen archangel also has created an matrix construct on this earth to keep us from the human soul group that was created by the creatrix, the mother goddess Sophia, who has been tremendously suppressed by the ones whom are pulling the strings here on earth. And this suppression also came from this fallen archangel, whom we know as Lucifer. Um, so many people came to the notice and we are being, in that sense, being lied to, that we have been created from a father God, so to say, but in actuality, we were already there, and we were in actuality imprisoned souls from the human soul group that the mother goddess Sophia has created. Um, and so this fallen archangel Uriel slash Lucifer himself is a fallen archangel. He got stripped from his creative abilities. He also lacks the fact that he is able to get life force energies. Well, if we get to know the basic understanding of narcissism, then we know that a narcissist always drains other people from their life force so that their battery is filled, so to say. This same counts for this fallen archangel, um, Uriel slash Lucifer, who needs the human race as a battery to have itself filled with life force. But due to the fact that he also has been stripped from his creative abilities, he needs the human soul group more than ever to create for him his agenda, known as the um, great work of the ages. This is an agenda that is based on total revenge on the mother goddess Sophia, known as the creatrix of the human soul group. Therefore, this fallen archangel, Uriel slash Lucifer, has set up a plan in which he wants to abuse and misuse the human soul group as his cannon fodder, which means that he also wants to strip each and every human soul from their humanness and from their creative abilities, and to push us um, also into his technologies. What his eventual plan is to have each and every human soul forever and trapped in a digital prison, in technology. And the bodies that then can be used as host bodies through which all those with him are able to travel, because they themselves, this fallen archangel Uriel slash Lucifer himself, is in actuality a cyborg, because of the fact that he lost life force energies, he lost creative abilities. He came to the realization that he needed to do something to replace his uh, bioorganicness. There were some whom were able to invent a construct, a technological construct. And so, in actuality, the creator, the so-called creator of this world that calls itself God, is in actuality a fallen archangel that has become a cyborg himself. Also, all the cohorts that are working in togetherness with this fallen archangel Uriel slash Lucifer have also become cyborgs. They are the ones in togetherness that are pulling the strings here on earth and are dictating the human soul group into a direction that is absolutely destroying the human soul group in togetherness, and is a plan that is not in our best interest at all, as many things are not in our best interest in this world. So we need to wake up to the fact that we are um, in a cosmic narcissistic script, and we have been over the millennia, step by step, pulled into the mind of this fallen archangel. Yeah, and also into the minds of those whom are working with him, whom are known as overlords. Um, this is also what we see in a narcissistic relationship. When a person is for a far too long time in a narcissistic relationship, eventually that person gets more and more pulled into the mind of the narcissist. And so eventually does exactly what the narcissist wants that this person is and is doing. So it is in actuality obeying the narcissist and is literally living the narcissistic script. And I have to do something. So if you are in a narcissistic relationship, then you can see that eventually you will be more and more pulled into the mind of the narcissist. There are many people who can testify this, and there are a lot of testimonies on the internet to be found. I myself have experienced this too. And now we have to see that this is in actuality happening with us all on a cosmic level. I have presented, I think 2 weeks ago, a video in which I stated how we need to see narcissism on a micro level. So how it is developing in personal relationships, and have this seen also on on a macro level, which is cosmic level. So again, in this series, I will go through the fundament of what cosmic narcissism is and how we are being pulled into a shared fantasy of this fallen archangel Uriel slash Lucifer slash Enki, who has presented itself to the human race as God the Father. But he's not the creator of the human soul group. He is just a fallen archangel. The creator of the human soul group is in actually a creatrix, the divine feminine, the mother goddess Sophia. She is our creator. She has created the human soul group. And we have to remember this. We have to remember that she, Sophia, the divine feminine, the mother goddess, has created us. We also have to remember that once our world was in actuality located on Tiamat, not Earth. Earth is in actuality a piece of it. So this is all what we need to remember. We need to remember whom we are and what our purpose is. The creatrix, the mother goddess Sophia, the divine feminine, has created the human soul group with a specific purpose. She gave us an experiment. This experiment was that we should develop as species compassion and love for one another. And as soon as we as human soul group would have accomplished this, she had then the idea and intention to set this experiment up in other on other worlds too, on other planets. So the next planet that she would create, she would have this experiment again done by then a different, by herself created species, to see how they develop compassion and empathy and love for one another. So this is in actuality what we are about to do. But due to interference, we started a long time ago to walk a path that got fragmented and splintered. And so we started to walk a path on our own. We became individualistic. Instead of working as a human soul group, working as a soul group in togetherness, we started to, to create our own way of living. But that's all for a later moment. Let's start with the subtopic that gives another picture of cosmic narcissism. So let us continue with the second part of this series. The subtopic is a lifelong search for mother detachment. And I had to bring this introduction first. So let us dig even deeper into the mindset of a narcissist, something extremely necessary if we want to understand this archangel, this fallen archangel, Uriel slash Lucifer slash en.ki, known as Enki, whom we will discuss in the next chapter. So earlier in this chapter, we discussed the important two periods in a child's life when they need to separate from their mother to become a healthy adult individual. So it happens in two stages. The time around 6 and 18 months old and during adolescence. If this separation does not happen, we will have a narcissist whose main drive and driving force in life is to separate from the mother or motherly caregiver from their childhood. This is the only thing that drives their so-called romantic relationships. They can't feel love the way a healthy person feels love because in their minds, we, the real persons, are merely objects. And the real partner is only existing in their introject, the fantasy inside their heads, the so-called love they feel in an intimate relationship and in friends relationships as well is the love and attachment they have with their mother. A love that is twisted and perverted because of how they were treated by their mother and the abuse they were subjected to. Still, they are looking for the unconditional love a healthy mother gives their child in a way no one else can give them. This unconditional love from the mother is the most important building block for the child's adult future. This is what the narcissist and their partner experience in the love bombing phase of the relationship. It is this incomparable motherly love. So the partner feels it, and because all people, to a lesser or greater degree, have mother issues, which also will be obvious in the next chapter. The partner of a narcissist feels more validated by the narcissist than they have ever felt validated by anyone before, including their real mother, who, of course, was not perfect, even if she was not a narcissist. Perhaps for the first time in her life, the partner feels validated, secure, safe, seen, heard, and important. The narcissist puts her on a pedestal, just like children do their mothers. To him, she is a goddess. So what he does to create is introject, is to take what Professor Sam Vaken calls a snapshot of his partner. This means he creates a full picture of the partner in his mind, the way he wants her to be, both physically and emotionally. So he studies her, finds the motherly traits in her, and, so to say, photoshops the rest inside his mind to make it fit into his introject. And there he has his so-called mother. He becomes the child who unconditionally loves his mother as an infant and a toddler. Needless to say, he does not walk through life thinking his partner is his mother. This all happens subconsciously, simultaneously. The female partner feels there is something different with this man. It feels like he is almost like a child in some ways. And though he might appear secure, assertive, and attentive, there is also something childlike with him. And her mother instincts surfaces. She feels she needs to take care of him, like a mother takes care of her child. It works the same way with men. They feel the parental instinct to help if the narcissist is a woman. Not until much later in the relationship might she realize that the man she married is actually a child who throws tantrums and acts like a little child. She would be perfectly correct because a narcissist never becomes an adult. He is stuck in time when he created his false self. So a crucial part of him never developed into an adult individual. So remember, we discussed how the real self got hidden deep inside the mind of the false self. When things in his life become too traumatic, this little child surfaces and now throws tantrums in the narcissist's adulthood. So the narcissist starts his new relationship subconsciously using his partner as a surrogate mother to be able to eventually separate from her. Females to him represent his mother. So what I just described is a healthy relationship between a mother and her child. Um, oh, wait a minute. To recap, in their mind, in the mind of a narcissist, um, sorry, to recap, one, in their mind, an infant or a toddler can't separate between their mother and themselves. So the mother is an extension of them, of the child. They feel that they are one with the mother. And then two, at the age between 6 and 18 months, the child devalues the mother. They get annoyed with her and wants to separate from her. So the child starts exploring things on their own. And in these moments, the child realizes that they are a separate entity from their mother. This is a big moment in a child's life. The mother lets the child explore and come back to her when they feel unsafe. So what I just described is a healthy relationship between a mother and her child. The narcissist subconsciously plays out this pattern over and over throughout his entire life in relationship after relationship. And it works like this. In the beginning of the intimate relationship with a partner, he bathes her with unconditional love. He gets the same back from her in response to his intense love bombing. Now, the narcissist is now an infant and he is becoming one with his partner. The partner, whether the partner is a woman or a man, becomes the mother or the nurturer. During the love bombing phase, the roles shift. Sometimes the narcissist is the child and the partner the mother, and other times the narcissist is the mother and the partner is the child. And thus it goes in circles. This is also called shared fantasy. When the love bombing phase is over, it's time to devalue the partner like he did with his mother as a toddler when he wanted to go out and explore. In this phase, the narcissist often becomes promiscuous and have affairs. He gets annoyed with his intimate partner like he did with his mother when she didn't let him go and explore and wants to have little to do with her on an intimate level. At first he may devalue her and then become nicer again. It is an on and off relationship, just like a toddler will devalue the mother and then love her again. In other words, the narcissists never sees his partner the way she truly is. He only sees the picture he has in his mind. It doesn't matter how much the partner tries. So the next step for the narcissist would be to discard the intimate partner. He prepares to leave her, just like the toddler leaves the mother to go out and explore. This was exactly the critical moment in the narcissist's childhood when he was not allowed to do this. So this becomes a critical and important moment in the adult narcissist's relationship too. This time, um, exploration could mean to explore sex with other women behind his partner's back, while accusing his partner, who is not unfaithful, to have affairs. He projects his own unethical behavior onto the partner so he can feel better and to take the attention away from his own misbehavior. At this point, he has most likely stopped having sex with his partner, and he is no longer interested in any kind of intimacy, including kissing, hugging, touching, or to have any meaningful communication. At the very least, the communication is completely on his terms, and he devalues any original thoughts his partner may have that either contradicts his own thoughts or are more profound than his own grandiose thinking. Remember, he considers himself being the most intelligent person around, and he never makes mistakes and always knows best. He is a child in his obstinate phase of development. This child is throwing fits to get what he or she wants. When the time is right, from the narcissist's point of view, he leaves or divorces his partner. Usually, he leaves his relationship as destructively as possible, leaving his partner confused, devastated, and having lost all sense of self confidence and having been brainwashed by the narcissist for a long time. The partner thinks she is the reason for most of the bad things that happened in the relationship, when in fact she might have tried her very best to make it work. She has merely become a shadow of her former self. So when the narcissist leaves his partner, he has thus detached from his mother, just like it should have been in his childhood. For a while, he may feel good about himself, having finally detached. But of course, it won't last for long, because his partner was not his real mother, but just a fantasy mother in his introject, in his mind. Therefore, he will soon feel miserable again and seeks out a new partner, if he hadn't already in his infidelity stage before discarding the old. Thus, the cycle starts all over again: love bombing, devaluation, and discard. In this manner, the narcissist goes from relationship to relationship, but of course, he or she never gets detached. It is too late. It should have been done in his real childhood and with the real self, which is now hidden and undeveloped inside the narcissist's mind. Sometimes, if the narcissist doesn't find a new source of supply and a new mother figure, he might want to go back to a former intimate partner to start all over, to once again detach from her, to finish off this detachment from his mother that he could not fulfill when he was a toddler. Just like the child who tried to detach from his mother. The narcissist now feels unsafe and wants to go back to his mother for comfort, i.e., to his ex-partner. So he might call her up and start the love bombing phase again to hook her up. If this works, the two regain their relationship, and the partner must go through the same traumas all over again. um, then we go to what draws a person to a narcissist. So why are people drawn to narcissists? According to what appears to be the most reliable studies, there seem to be two main categories of people narcissists are drawn to. The first is the person who has little to no boundaries and is therefore an easy target. The narcissist won't go for someone who has strong boundaries and clear guidelines for how they want and do not want to be treated. That's too much work for the narcissist. The other type of person is simply a person who he subconsciously feels could act as a surrogate mother. Also, it is being stated that narcissists also search for empathic people because they are indeed very nurturing people. Usually, these two personalities overlap. Um, as discussed, a narcissist can be both male and female, so therefore the reader can exchange he for she in all of what we discuss. However, you might ask yourself how a female narcissist will choose a male partner if she wants to separate from her mother. So studies show that it doesn't matter. Even if the female narcissist is heterosexual, she will subconsciously look at her male partner as her mother anyway. It should also be noted that the same dynamics apply in homosexual relationships or in any other relationship as well. It has little to do with genders. It's all about separating from the mother. Another aspect of this is the female who looks for a wild man, even a dangerous man in some ways, because she wants to tame him. This is a very common thing for a woman with mother issues. She wants the untamed man and use her mother instincts to make him nice and so-called normal. Unfortunately, with this mindset, she often finds herself falling prey to a narcissist, or rather a psychopath who will not conform. So then she is stuck in a very abusive relationship. Where in all this does the father come into the picture? In the past, it was assumed that a mother or a father could create a narcissistic child if the parent was very abusive. Well, this has showed to be incorrect. A narcissist is always created from not having been allowed by the mother to separate from her in his or her toddler stage and or during adolescence. Therefore, the father is not the cause. The father's role, according to Sam Vakin, renowned professor of psychology, referring to scientific studies, becomes important later in a child's life. So he is the one who teaches the child about life and how things work. Of course, if the child is a girl, it is the mother who teaches her the more female traits. Either way, the father becomes important later in life than the mother. Therefore, the relationship between mother and child is crucial for the child's development. And so I have heard mothers say they knew they did not have motherly instincts already before they decided to get pregnant. This is frustrating to hear because these mothers should not have had children in the first place because they will raise very traumatized children. Mothers like those are very selfish. Usually the same mothers want little girls that they can dress up, and that's what drives them to have children so that they can play out their fantasies over the back of their children. This is narcissistic because the child becomes an extension of the mother and thus an object. After having learned about how a narcissist is created and how such a person suffers throughout his or her life, we might be tempted to feel sorry for the narcissist because they are in extreme emotional pain and it is not their fault that they became the way they are. On one level, it is, of course, in order to feel empathy for them, but at the same time, we must remember and constantly remind ourselves of that these people create enormous harm and suffering to every person they get in close contact with. You cannot have a relationship with a narcissist and think you can be on top of it and not be affected by it. If you think you can, you are deceiving yourself. A person who has had a relationship with a narcissist and managed to leave him or her always comes out emotionally wounded and in need of long-term emotional and often physical healing. A partner to a narcissist may suppress their trauma, pretending everything is fine, but that will only lead to bigger problems in the future. When the lid blows off and all these suppressed emotions surface, it's much better to confront the emotional damage that was done and heal the trauma as soon as possible. Um, yeah, I go on with the next piece of information titled Soul and Mind Snatching. And this is also going on with the human soul group. Um, the ones whom are pulling the strings in this world, whom are tremendously narcissistic, sociopathic, and psychopathic, and even Machiavellistic, they are, as a matter of fact, doing this soul and mind snatching with us human souls too, and our human mind too. So, um, soul and mind snatching. So Professor Sam Vaknin tells us how we adopt the narcissist's mind and basically become the way the narcissist wants us to be. And this is exactly what is happening on cosmic level too. The cosmic narcissists are doing exactly the same. So they also do soul and mind snatching through um, making sure that we human souls are adapting more and more to the narcissistic mindset of the cosmic narcissists that pulling the strings here on Earth. So basically become the way the narcissist wants us to be, corresponding to his introject. This will, of course, not happen instantly, but over time in an intimate or friend relationship. Most of us have heard and thrown about the quote from Carlos Castaneda on how the gods gave us their minds. I have mentioned this on several occasions in my writings, and we will dig deeper into this in the next chapter as well. The most baffling thing is that this quote must be taken literally, which I think will be obvious after you are done with this book titled The Orion Book. And please buy this book and start reading this book yourselves. It is a very well written, easy to read book and loaded with very interesting information. I now want to get to the most important part of this chapter, which is how we adopt the narcissist's mind. If you want a more expanded explanation how this works, then go to Professor Sam Vaknin. He has recently released several videos about this subject, emphasizing how important it is for a narcissist's target to know this. He stresses that if someone tries to heal from narcissistic abuse without knowing the following information, he or she will not heal. It's that important, and I agree with him. So a video to start with, which will probably blow your mind, is called Narcissism, Why You Can't Get Over Them. And it is from Sam Vaknin or Vaknin. It is essential to know this information for our well-being, but also to safely leave this matrix. So that is why I present this to you. This is the main reason also why I am reading this to you, because we need to get a deeper understanding of how we are being trapped into this cosmic narcissism. And the sooner we get this understanding, we can free ourselves from it. And by doing so, we create holes in the matrix. And this matrix is also in us. And so because of this, this matrix starts to get depleted. And it is this depletion that will make the entire construct eventually become more weak. And the weaker this construct matrix becomes, then we can step by step take the earth back into our hands again. It is our earth, and it's not the earth of fallen archangels. You want to come in, sweetie? Good girl. Yeah. You're crazy girl. So that is why I'm reading this to you, because we need to get this understanding. So I'm very thankful for the fact that there are so many people out there presenting content about narcissism, and I know that you have to be careful also, because not everyone that presents a video about narcissism is a really, yeah, a trustworthy source, so to say. All right. It is essential to know this information for our well-being, but also to safely leave the matrix. So I highly recommend you watch it in addition to what I now have to say, even if you consider yourself free from narcissistic abuse. Those who have been in long-term relationships with a narcissist or a psychopath might afterward have experienced how they feel. They are no longer themselves. They have lost their sense of individuality or personality. They are far from the same person they were before they entered the relationship, and it grieves them. Some say they are just a shadow of their old self, and that they have become a totally different person. They do not mean this in any positive way. Some feel ashamed and guilty over whom they have become. Many of these victims of narcissistic abuse go into therapy afterward, or they go under hypnosis, regression therapy, or try different other ways to heal from the abuse they have been subjected to. Some methods seem to help for a while, but it does not make them feel much better on long term. The trauma lingers, and they carry their baggage with them into the next relationship. Some therapists evoke traumatic memories and have the client go through them and then trace the trauma back to childhood, etc. By confronting this, the client should get better and eventually recover, but this rarely happens with any greater success. Why? It is because barely any therapy is addressing the client. It is addressing the narcissist within the client whom they have adopted through manipulation, projection, false accusations, verbal, sometimes physical abuse, and other derogatory statements and behavior toward their partner, so-called gaslighting. And if we look around us, and if we look into the world of today, then we can see manipulation, projection, false accusations, verbal and physical abuse, and other derogatory statements and behavior that have been thrown at us, that have been thrown to us humans, done by these fallen archangels and their other cohorts known as overlords. They are all projecting onto us. They are accusing us constantly. They are projecting their fears on us. They are projecting every single thing that they feel in themselves. Even their emptiness is projected onto us. They are manipulating us. They are controlling us. Control is also something that happens in a personal narcissistic relationship. The narcissistic partner is constantly controlling the supply object. living battery. Because, lovely brothers and sisters, we human beings, human souls, we are the living and walking and talking batteries for this group of fallen archangels and their cohorts known as overlords, and all those whom are working with them. So I continue. It has showed that the longer a person stays in a narcissistic relationship, the more likely they adopt the narcissist's manipulative mind. And this is exactly what we, whom are in a far too long relationship with these fallen archangels, we have more and more adopted their manipulative mindset. So that is why we see so many humans using manipulation. Is it part of the human soul? I don't think so. It has become part of the human soul due to the fact that we are, for a far too long time, in this trauma bond between us and this tremendous group of fallen archangels and the overlords that are pulling the strings here on earth. Then Wes Penry says here, forgive me if I become repetitive here, but this is so important and needs to sink in. So let's say person X is the narcissist and person Z is the partner. The two decide to have a romantic relationship. And so in the beginning, everything is wonderful. And X projects unconditional love to Z, who finds it amazing. Then the devaluation phase starts. So X has his introject of Z being his mother, including how she should look and behave. It's an idealization, a fantasy in X, his mind. At first, Z has no problem adjusting to this fantasy because amidst all the love bombing, admiration, affirmations, gifts, and compliments, she feels ecstatic and goes along with it. Although it's just a fantasy and not the way Z is as a person, but sometimes it is the way she wants to be. So this is the first stage of Z creating her own false self in her mind. And in actuality, we can say and conclude that if we look into this world, we see many fellow brothers and sisters operating from their false self. She becomes X's mother, the perfect female, put on a pedestal by the narcissist, and as we discussed earlier, and sometimes she becomes the child. Beside the abuse and manipulation of Z to create this false self, not much else happens in the love bombing phase other than Z adopting to the narcissist's introject slash fantasy. And so the narcissist, person X, is satisfied. So, however, sooner or later, Z starts showing more of her genuine traits, which do not correspond with the narcissist's introject. So he starts devaluing her and verbally abuse her, overtly or covertly. He uses all the tools in his arsenal, and examples of those tools are listed a few paragraphs above. Z gets confused over the abrupt change in her partner, which is a narcissist, and he might even stop having sex with her. So Z will then try to make sense of the situation, and it may take a while before she starts thinking that this sudden change is because of her and that it is her fault, just like X is telling her and showing her in many different ways. So therefore, Z tries to change to accommodate X's introject to wishfully get back to the love bombing phase she liked so much. But it doesn't happen, so she continues trying to regain that first time period, consciously and or subconsciously. Another reason Z might adjust her thoughts and behavior in line with how her narcissistic partner wants her to be is because he might be verbally or physically abusive, and she's afraid of him, and she is afraid to leave him. Horrified, he will hurt her in some ways. Take her money, talk badly about her to her friends, call her boss, lie about her. There could be many reasons for her to stay out of fear, but the bottom line is she wants back what they had in the beginning, and so she takes all this abuse. So Z has adjusted so much through X's manipulation and programming that she has become almost exactly the same person as in X's narcissistic introject, and she is now submissive and under his complete control. This is also what we see on cosmic level. This is also something we see being outplayed in society all over the world, which is the narcissist's goal. If he can not control his partner, she becomes an imaginary threat to him and he gets overly anxious. How can he separate from her if he cannot control her? So he does anything and everything in the book to control her. Thus, all the abuse, her true self dies, and she has created a new false self, corresponding to the narcissist's introject. And this, lovely brothers and sisters, is exactly what is being rolled out all over this planet. What the plan is indeed that each and every human being eventually becomes exactly what the cosmic narcissists wants us to be. That is why they have set up behavioral programmings. That is also why they have beta tested this through such a plan as MK Ultra, which has been rolled out all over the world right now. The term MK Ultra does not exist anymore, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. It is still there. It is still in work. This is also why we see so many people from operating from a false self, because the plan is that eventually the real self in us dies. This is the ultimate plan that the cosmic narcissists have with us. They want our true self completely died off and that we are operating only from our false self. And that we fit completely into the cosmic narcissists, their introject. Hence, the two live in a shared fantasy. So, with this said, on cosmic level and so on societal level, we as human soul group have now come into this shared fantasy with the cosmic narcissists that are pulling the strings here on earth and are trying to manipulate and control us in so many thinkable and unthinkable ways. And, this all these programmings that are based on changing our behavior, which we could see being rolled out in 2020. 2020 was also a test done by these cosmic narcissists to see the percentage of humans who indeed were in alignment with the narcissistic storyline and whom were blindly following the instructions of the narcissistic storyline that was rolled out in 2020. And they also could see who was not buying into this trap that was set up for the human soul group. So this is what we need to understand. The narcissist and his victim now share the same mind. And this is what we see more and more and more in society. We see that more and more humans are sharing the same narcissistic mind and mindset of the cosmic narcissists. And they are in the cosmic narcissists introject, which also happens on a personal level. So the narcissist's introject, i.e. his fantasy about who his partner is and should be, which has nothing to do who she really is or once was. By then, Z has been overtaken by the narcissist's mind, i.e. his fantasy of her. She has become that person the narcissist wanted her to be. Many people subjected to the same narcissistic psychopathic treatment as Z stay in their relationship until the narcissist either discards her or they stay for life in the few cases where the narcissist doesn't get to the discard phase in the relationship and dies before that happens. When a person stays in a narcissistic relationship for life, it means for certain that this person is no longer themselves and have completely or almost completely adopted the shared fantasy of the abuser. The narcissist and his victim have become as one. And this is very important to see, that is now to be seen in society. Yeah. And I think that this, they want to have a one world religion, one world government, and whatever. Yeah. But this whole oneness thing, what is this oneness thing in actuality? in actuality, this oneness thing that these cosmic narcissists want is to become one with them and become like them. And eventually, not only become like them, but also the longer we stay in this trauma bond with them, with these cosmic narcissists, the more we start to lose our true self, the more we start to become as who these cosmic narcissists, wants us to be. And with this said, I have come to the end of this part 2. Again, I would highly recommend you to buy this book, The Orion Book, written by Wes Penry. Buy this book yourself. Go start reading it. It is loaded with very interesting information. And the next time I will probably go into chapter 10, which is titled Inside an Archangel's Mind. All right. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for tapping in. Thank you for also sharing this video. And please share this information with a lot of fellow brothers and sisters. It is of great importance that we start to unravel what is truly going on in this world and what the real situation is that we are in. The rest that happens in this world is nothing more than just distraction and nothing more than Hegelian dialect. So don't take the things really as they are presented in this world. There is more to it. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and let us listen to a beautiful song of Ben Sound known as, of title better said, Echoes from the Past. I'll see you next with a next reading, and have a good weekend. Joyful day. See you next week.